What is up, everybody, and welcome to the All-NBA show powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com/All-NBA. I'm your host, Adam Mares. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Tim Legler. Legs, 2 weeks out from the season. How are we feeling?
Feeling good, man. Feeling good. Got my first game action in over the weekend, Sunday. I had a chance to call Lakers Warriors preseason with my new teammates, Mike Breen and Richard Jefferson, and it was a lot of fun, man. So it was just good to be back at the arena and feeling the energy of the game. So obviously preseason basketball is rough because, Lakers, nobody played for the Lakers. Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves all sat out. But I did get to see Curry, Jimmy Butler, and like pretty much all the Warriors guys, at least in the first half of that game. So I got a little taste of it. So we're in preseason mode, but it was still great to be at the arena.
We might get to that game at the end of the show just for some quick notes from you, but it is kind of funny, man. It's like, I don't know what enthusiasm expires quicker, excitement for Summer League or excitement for the preseason. Because I get excited for both, and then you get about halfway through the first game and you're like, okay, I think I get it. I think I'm ready. What do you think?
Man, I actually think, I don't know, that's the tough call, but I'm probably more excited for Vegas and Summer League because primarily because it's like the very first time you're going to see some of these top draft picks in an NBA uniform. You know what I mean? That's so new. Like when you go to do a preseason game, most of these guys you've seen 1,000 times. You know that on most nights, most of these guys aren't playing. So, we were lucky. We all agreed. Like we were just lucky. First of all, the first half was incredibly entertaining. And it wasn't like the Lakers were rolling out a bunch of G League players. Like they had all guys that are going to be in their rotation as their starting team without their 3 stars. So all these guys are important. And then the Warriors had everybody. So the first half was actually very entertaining. Second half becomes a little bit more difficult.
That's what I'm seeing in these Nuggets games as well. They were in Vancouver. By the way, man, I never feel more old. Is it Amazon or NBC that is doing the 8 p.m. tip-offs for the West Coast games this year? What one of those is? So there's more 8 p.m. Mountain Time. I got, what would that be, 10 p.m. Eastern Time tip-offs this year for my beloved Denver Nuggets. And, man, last night was my first one. It's going to be a long year. You're not getting back home till 2:30, 3 o'clock, and those nights are tough, man.
Yeah, I hear you. It was nice. We were talking about it. Our game Sunday was 5:30 Pacific time, like local time. That's nice, man, because normally those games are 7:30 typically. Tip off local, the game's over at 10. Either you try to scramble to catch that red eye, or you're like going to go back to the hotel and it's like 11 o'clock, midnight. Like we were able to go back and actually have dinner at the hotel after the game and kind of talk about the game. So that was kind of cool. We're not going to get that many with tips at that time, but I do have this Sunday. I got a game, Clippers Nuggets.
There you go.
From LA. So I'll be out there this weekend. Hopefully I don't know, like by that time, you're looking at several days from now. I don't know, like, what the approach will be on Sunday. Are the Nuggets going to play their guys, like, both halves? Like, I don't know you just never know what you're going to get.
I think they will that game. They get a whole week off. They played last night. Okay. They don't play again till Sunday. So my hunch is they'll use that one as the full dress rehearsal. But like you said, man, you never know in the preseason what you're going to get. On today's show, though, we're really kicking off season 3 here. Of this show. We've been doing this for 2 years, Legs. This is season 3. And we are going to do today's show on players. We're kind of piggybacking off of Tim Bontemps over at ESPN, your colleague, who made a list of what he said were the 10 most important people of the upcoming season. We're going to limit it just to players. You made a list and I made a list, but we're going to use your list and then we'll throw mine in at the end of the guys who you think are going to have the biggest impact on this season. Players only. addition. And we're going to start in the Eastern Conference, and we're going to start. We both had this guy on our list, and that is Paolo Banchero. He is a guy that I think the roster he has had has not been ideal, and yet they have been a very good team. They've gone through injuries. But this year, I think the roster is much more close to ideal, and I feel like this is his not make or break season, but this is the season I expect him to take a leap. Why did you put him on your list?
I put him on my list because, first of all, I think Orlando is going to be one of the biggest stories in the NBA this season. I think the Orlando Magic have a chance to really be hovering right there with the top teams in the East. Cleveland won 64 games last year. Cleveland's got, for the most part, their whole team back except Ty Jerome. I think that the Cavaliers are going to win a ton of games. Most likely, they are going to be the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. I'd almost be surprised if they weren't. Then you got the Knicks right there coming into the season healthy. They've got a new coach, but I think that they're going to be right there in the mix for that. And then I think the Orlando Magic are going to be right there. And the reason that I think that is because, Adam, you talk about a team that last year had real offensive challenges around their two stars, both of whom, by the way, missed a significant amount of time with, oddly enough, the same injury. An oblique injury happened to both of their stars, Banchero and Franz Wagner. Both guys missed a chunk of time. And yet, because of their defense, which is top 5 in the league and will be again, they keep their head above water. They hover around and they show you like what the potential could be if those guys stay healthy and they improve their offense, and they dramatically improve their offense by adding another guy that's going to be on this list in a second. But it starts with Banchero. If he's healthy, the guy is an absolute stud, franchise go-to offensive player. He can beat you any which way. He can post you. He can shoot mid-range. He can shoot it deep. He's physical. He gets to the line. He's made a number of big shots in his career already, like deep, late, clutch, fourth quarter shots. He is the key to the whole thing. And if the guy plays the whole season and stays healthy, the Orlando Magic are going to be one of the teams we're talking about all year long. I'm convinced they're going to be top 4 in the East, and Banchero is the biggest part of that. But he's got to stay healthy and give us what it looks like for a full year, because I think the guy can average 24, 25 points a game if he plays the entire season.
Where do you think his game has to change? He was 26 points per game last year, 7.5 rebounds, only 32% from the 3-point line. And that is consistent with all 3 years, basically. He's been around that number. Where do you think his game is going to have to change now that Desmond Bane joins the team and that they get a little bit more around him?
I think honestly, his playmaking is probably the number one area. Look, the 3-point shooting, I'm not concerned about with Paolo Banchero. Can he get that up a tick, 35, 36%? Yeah, hopefully. Here's the thing. Most of the shots he takes are shots that he takes off the dribble. They're much more difficult shots. It's not like you've got somebody setting the table for him and he's spotting up and has time to catch and shoot 3-point shots. Like, that doesn't really happen in their offense. So I'm not too worried about his 3-point percentage. You'd like it to be a little bit better. And as long as he's not a high volume 3-point shooter, shooting 32%, like, that's difficult to live by. There's too many empty possessions. That's not the case here. He's kind of selective about it. Most of them are tougher shots. A lot of those shots are deeper in the clock. So I'm not too worried about the number. What I think could happen this year is he can now be the guy that's going to command multiple defenders, because he does. He's a very difficult matchup one-on-one. Now, with Desmond Bane out there spreading the floor, his ability now to make plays and the decisions that defenses have to make on the weak side, depending if you send an extra guy at him, how are you going to now zone up? How are you going to rotate? That's going to look a lot different with Desmond Bane on the floor. There's going to be cutters open because Desmond Bane has a guy staying home with him, or they slide over to the cutter. Now Desmond Bane is open on that weak side pass from the block to the wing or from the short ISO to the opposite wing. Banchero's got to now make these plays to the cutters and to the open shooters, because there's going to be more opportunities to make plays that lead to offense. That's where I want to see his biggest growth, because he's already an absolute load offensively for anybody in this league to deal with as a scorer. Now there's going to be options available to him as a playmaker.
I think let's move on to the next guy, because I agree with you about Paolo. He was on my list as well. I think he's going to be interesting. I'm more skeptical of his I think he's an incredible talent. I have no skepticism about his talent. leveraging that talent as a number one guy is a different skill because it's about how everything connects. You have to be always focused on how everything connects for the team. And that's what the challenge is going to be from this year. I hope he makes that leap because he's a very fun player to watch. And now that he has a team around him, I'm curious to see how he grows into that. But you had another guy from the Orlando Magic on there in Desmond Bane, and it makes sense. New team, new role, elevated status. Why did he make your list?
He made my list because I can't imagine a team that had a specific need address that need to a bigger degree than they did with Desmond Bane. Look, Adam, they weren't just a poor three-point shooting team. You got to put this in perspective, how bad it was. Last in the league in makes, last in the league in percentage. And the difference in their percentage as the 30th ranked team in the NBA and the next closest team, the 29th team, talking about 2 percentage points. To put that in perspective, that's the same difference as it was from the best three-point shooting team percentage-wise in the league to about the 15th team.
It's crazy.
So there was 2 points separation in percentage from like 1 to 15, and there was 2 points separation from 29 to 30. That's how bad of a three-point shooting team this was. You get Desmond Bane. Now, he doesn't solve it all by himself, but he does a lot to address that. First of all, he's going to shoot a high percentage. He's going to be a high volume three-point shooter, but it's going to be the more time for the mediocre shooters because of the lack of rotation to them because you stay home on Bane. So now when that ball comes out, you want to make that decision and stay home with Desmond Bane? That means there's somebody rotating from a greater distance to get to these average three-point shooters on their roster, and time for an average three-point shooter means you increase your percentage for guys like that. They need more time. The less contest, and I'm not saying these guys are going to go from, 31% to 38, 40% three-point shooters, but maybe they go from 31 to 36. And then and with Bane going around, at 40% with his volume, taking 7, 8, 10 a night, now you've got a team that's at least in the mix as a three-point shooting team. And so that deficit that they're playing every night, they're down 18, down 21, down 24, minus 24 from the three-point line. Like every night, that's what it looks like for the Magic. Really hard, and yet they still find a way to win games because their defense is so good and they've got top-shelf offensive players. So I can't overstate what a difference Desmond Bane is going to make to their balance in their offense and being able to now at least stay with teams a little bit better from the three-point line, in addition to what these two big forwards can do to you. So I just love the acquisition. I think he's going to be highly motivated, and I think it's the perfect fit for Desmond Bane in this team, in this offense.
You mentioned his role scaling. One of the things that's interesting is back in the 23-24 season, John Morant is out basically the whole year. And he was out for half of that year, but he played, he scores 24 points per game, 23.7 points per game that year. And he got up 8.6 threes. He's a guy that I kind of like as your lead ball handler, even though he's played as the supplemental role, for a lot of his career. I like him in this role. And I think if, the Magic play slow, so I'm not sure how many threes he's going to be able to get up, but 8.6 is a lot. That's right there at the top of the league, with all of your high volume 3-point shooters. And I'm curious if he's going to get that off. Banchero is your number one option, but Bane's going to be your number one ball. The ball's going to be in his hands, I think, more than anybody else's.
Well, I think, look, when they get into sort of like their ball screen offense, second half of the shot clock, I agree with that. But look, the ball primarily comes up the floor. It ends up in Banchero's and Wagner's hands. But here's the great luxury about Bane. He's a guy that can play off the ball for the most part. Very good spot up three-point shooter, really good in transition. He can actually put the ball on the floor pretty well. But now just the fact that you can run initial action with Banchero, let's say, on one side of the floor, let's say there's nothing there. Ball comes out, it gets reversed to the other side. The guys that were ending up with that ball in the second half of the clock last year just were not big enough threats. So you could get away with like scrambling to them and then just whatever, haphazardly playing them anyway defensively, and you weren't going to get burned with that guy's ability to score. Totally different scenario now. Run action on one side, reverse it to the other side. You're down inside 10 seconds, 9, 8, 7 on the clock. The ball's going to end up in a really high-level playmaking guard's hands. And when I talked to Jamal Mosley in Chicago a couple weeks ago at the coaches' meetings, that's the first thing he said coming out of workouts of what he had seen so far with Desmond Bane. They knew he was a good playmaker. They didn't know he was on this level as a playmaker. So I just think, man, it's going to unlock an element to their offense and supplement this area that they were so deficient. When you combine it with a top 5 defense, I just can't wait to watch the Magic play. They're absolutely one of my top 5 favorite teams to watch now.
The big three of Bane, Wagner, and Banchero is a really good big three. You know, I don't how the pieces fit is a question, but we just talk about the talent of those 3 guys. There's not a lot of I don't know who the third best player is out of that bunch. I'm a big Franz Wagner guy, so I probably rate him higher than most, but not a lot of teams have a third best guy as good as whoever you pick third out of that bunch. I'm really excited for the Magic. I think they're, you know, I've loved the Magic for years. I think this year they're going to be a really interesting one.
Hey, real quick, last point on that before we move on. And also, let's not forget, I got to mention this guy's name. We'd be remiss if we didn't. Don't forget, you're getting Jalen Suggs back.
Yep.
I mean, Jalen Suggs.
Love him too.
He's arguably top 3 on-ball defenders in the NBA. So you get him back, and he had a breakout year offensively before he got hurt. You know, he really had an uptick in his scoring. So that's a pretty good big 4 if you throw Suggs into the mix with his contributions on both ends. And Bane, by the way, a good defender. So you didn't sacrifice a ton to get him. It's not like you just brought in a guy, all he can do is shoot. Desmond Bane is a complete player. So obviously we're very high on the Magic. I think they're going to, you know, if they get out of the gate quickly, man, we're going to be talking about the Magic all year.
Add Suggs to that mix. They're all serious guys too. You know, I know this sounds silly, but some teams don't have all serious guys. Like those guys are all like basketball players. They want to go out there and hoop. And yeah, I'm a big believer in this Orlando Magic team. Next guy on your list. Last year, he was one of the top 10 most important players, I would say, and that's Cade Cunningham. He had his huge breakout year last year. Now you get Jaden Ivey back. You know, you move some pieces around, but now expectations follow you. So I'm guessing that's why he made your list. But what's interesting about him?
I just think I had to take Cade Cunningham because, again, we saw how much he grew a year ago. He's turned into a star. He's still so young. You would just think there's going to be more layers from a leadership standpoint, a toughness standpoint, like all of those things. Their experience last year with that great series they had in the first round against the Knicks. I thought the Pistons from a team standpoint were the best story in the NBA a year ago because of what they were coming off of. That embarrassing year, the year before that, laughing stock of the league. To that, you battle the Knicks the way that they did, gave them everything they could handle in the first round series. And I think you get Jaden Ivey back. All of these guys are young. And now Cade Cunningham takes another step forward. I think along with the Magic, the Pistons are going to be right there as 2 teams that have a legitimate shot in the top 4 in the Eastern Conference with the Knicks and the Cavs.
So one of the questions I have about Detroit is Cleveland's not going anywhere. I don't think the Knicks are going anywhere. But then you had Boston and Indiana, both teams that obviously suffered injuries, so you expect them to fall. You've got Milwaukee, and then below them last year in the standings is Orlando and Atlanta, who I both expect to rise, both of those teams. So if Detroit has a run-it-back year where they look better, but they finish as a 6 seed again, maybe 44 wins again like they had last year, will it feel like a disappointment because of how much they overachieved or outperformed expectations last year?
It will. In this regard, let's say they run it back, they stay healthy, they end up as a 6 seed, and you get the Cavs and Knicks at the top. Let's just say they finish 1-2. And somehow, like those next teams are the Celtics, the Pacers, right? The
Okay.
Bucks. Yes, it is. Because now you're going, wow, like Boston just lost Jason Tatum. They got rid of Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, and we still can't catch them. Like, yes, it will probably feel like that a little bit. If it's a team like Atlanta, and I'm a little bit more skeptical about the people that are just going crazy here about the Hawks. I need to see a lot more of this. And you got to buy in, I think, to a really high degree of Trae Young. But if it's a team like that, because it all clicked, Trae Young has an incredible year as a playmaker and scorer. The new pieces they've added, Jalen Johnson, like becomes a star. Like if that all happens and it's Atlanta, I don't think that would feel as disappointing because like, okay, they made a lot of changes and they got young players that grew and they added Nickeil Alexander-Walker and like all these things and Porzingis is there. And like, okay, wow, they really clicked for them. But if it's like the same old teams that have been there, I think that will feel like a little bit of a disappointment. That's why I think for Detroit, like they should say, okay, we understand the Cavs come in probably as the favorite to have the best record. The Knicks right there with them. After that, it should be us. If I'm the Pistons, that's how I'm thinking. And that's how I'm thinking if I'm the Magic. And that's why I think those two teams, their goal should be like top 4 in the Eastern Conference. And when they get into that, and look, if Detroit ends up 5th because Orlando's 3rd and Atlanta gets 4th, I don't think Detroit's going to look at that as a step back. But if it's these teams that have been decimated by injuries and redone their rosters to a certain extent, Indiana not only loses Halliburton, they lose Miles Turner. Like, that's huge. The Celtics look different. So if they still end up with a better record than the Pistons, yes, I think that's going to feel a little bit like, okay, maybe it's the ceiling's not as high as we thought. Let's see what happens.
I think, where do you think he needs to improve the most this season? You can obviously look at shooting. I think every player, every star player, you can look and say, if they were a better 3-point shooter, it'd be different. But outside of that, where do you think his game can make the biggest leap?
Oh, I think, look, the shooting would have been where I started. And I think, look, I think these guys that are so good offensively this young, I think maybe a little bit more, set a tone a little bit more defensively for your team. And that might mean that you don't play as many minutes because maybe you're in foul trouble. It might mean you don't play as many minutes because maybe you're more fatigued because you're just expending more energy. This is a defensive-oriented team. It's one of the reasons I like Pistons and Magic because I think their defense is just right there at the forefront. And now, you want your best guys to be buying into that and setting the tone with that. So, look, he really emerged last year. I don't know, he's so young. You think, what is the ultimate upside ceiling for this guy offensively? I mean, who knows? Because last year, he was one of the better offensive players in this league, and he's still so young. So the more consistency, I think, with the shooting the 3 off the dribble, like that becoming a more consistent staple for him, probably offensively, and then a little bit more commitment defensively.
I'd say finishing at the rim too would be one thing. I mean, he did a good job of it in the regular season. You got into that physical playoff series, and I thought that was something you see the difference between guys that can be affected that way and guys who can't. Maybe some of that was just the nature of the roster, and you open things up a little bit more, and it's easier for him. But those are all natural. I mean, it's like things he's good at already, but you have to be phenomenal at when push comes to shove. So I think I would identify those things. Let's go to Donovan Mitchell now. You have him on the list. This guy would not have been on my list this year. I mean, I feel like I know what I get out of Donovan Mitchell. So why did he make your list?
Here's why. If Donovan Mitchell doesn't get to the NBA Finals this year, he's never going to. So you have a team that won 64 games. They had 2 years in a row in the playoffs, right? A disappointment. Now they've had injuries they've dealt with. So and Darius Garland's a big part of that. Needs to stay healthy because I almost chose him instead of Mitchell. I wanted to pick somebody from the Cavs. I could probably pick Mobley too. Mobley already took a leap last year. I don't know that Mobley's going to take another huge leap this year. I don't know that there's that much more for Mobley offensively in this league. He's already a great two-way player. I don't know, Evan Mobley's not going to all of a sudden go out there and average 24, 25 points a game. Not when you have Mitchell and Garland on the team. That's not going to happen. So I'm looking at the 2 guards. I almost said Garland because he's been banged up 2 years in a row in the playoffs. Guy's got to stay healthy. But I go, you know what? No, this is about Donovan Mitchell. Let's not kid ourselves. If you've got Boston, who won a championship 2 years ago, and they're going through what they're going through, you got the Indiana Pacers who represented the East this year, and they just lost the engine of their team and their starting center. Okay, you now have to take advantage and grab up that real estate. Forget the Knicks. If I'm Donovan Mitchell, I'm not sitting there going, well, the Knicks are pretty good. No, man. You won 64 games. You're running it back with the same team. No, this is your year. And it's only going to happen if Donovan Mitchell has a run through the playoffs where he is great most nights and is like efficient and gets it done in close games and all of those things he's going to have to do because this is their opportunity for the Cavaliers. If you don't seize it this year, I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
For that, I don't. And so that's why I say Donovan Mitchell's a guy that's absolutely got the crosshairs on him. And look, regular season, he's going to average big numbers, and the Cavaliers are going to win. They're going to win a bunch of games. So I'm not even going to pay attention to it. It's all about the postseason and what they do.
Yeah.
At a minimum, they got to be in the conference finals.
Yeah.
And Kenny Atkinson pretty much admitted that to me when I saw him a couple weeks ago. He basically said, "We understand. We got to get it done. The expectations are there. We know what's in front of us. They get it. Now go do it. It's got to happen this season."
That's the tough thing about Donovan Mitchell is he's had great regular seasons for almost 10 years now. 8 years, I guess, in the league. He's been great in the regular season. And I think he's one of those guys that maybe even wears down as the year goes on because he goes so hard. And I tip my hat to that. Guys that bring it every single night. He brings it. He plays really hard. But I wonder if his approach has to be a little bit different this year. They were raced out to a huge lead last season. I don't know that there's a ton of competition for them in the standings this year out in the Eastern Conference. And so I do wonder how much if he changes his approach at all, especially as he rounds into his age 29 season. You just wonder about, hey, the playoffs are what matter. April, May, June, those are the months you have to be at your best. Last guy you have on your list in the Eastern Conference, we could put this guy on the list every single year. I had him on mine, and that's Joel Embiid. Huge mystery box for what we're going to get out of Joel Embiid this year, but he absolutely can determine the arc of the season.
No doubt. And again, for all the reasons I mentioned with this opportunity in the Eastern Conference, that's what exists because of what's going on with Boston and Indiana. An opportunity is there. The Knicks haven't broken through. The Cavs haven't broken through, right? Joel Embiid, if he does stay healthy, Joel Embiid, no one's going to argue, is the most dominant, unstoppable offensive force in the game when he's healthy. There's no real answer for him. So with this opportunity at the top, the two teams I mentioned that I expect to be in that top four, Orlando and Detroit, they are young and they haven't done it either. So you're looking at Philadelphia with Paul George, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey, and you're going, wow, okay, the East is kind of a lot of uncertainty there. None of these teams have been able to get it. Orlando, Detroit, too young. Cleveland and the Knicks just haven't broken through for different reasons. So here you got Joel Embiid sitting there saying, I'm the best player in the conference if I'm healthy. So, and I got all this help. That's a lot of talent at the top. So for me, it's probably the single biggest X factor in the NBA is Joel Embiid. So clearly he's going to make this list.
Clearly he's going to make the list, and I was listening to Tim Bontemps earlier because he's the one that made the list here on ESPN, and he talked about, he was on the list last year. We put him on that list last year, and he didn't end up playing, which I guess made him one of the most important players. And that's how I feel about this year. He looks good. I'm just still not convinced he's going to make it through the season, and I'm so curious.
I agree.
And that's why this is such a tough one to kind of suss out. But I am very interested in that 76ers team. The league needs the Sixers to be good, to be honest with you, because we talk ourselves into the Magic. I think they're very interesting. You got some other up-and-comers. Atlanta could be up-and-comer. You have some teams that you want to make noise. Philadelphia represents a team that can be an anchor of there, a superstar in the playoffs, a guy who's been there. And I just hope that they're able to piece it together, at least for a portion of the season. So we at least get to get hyped about the potential there.
Totally. It would be an incredible thing if he's healthy at the start of the year and they get, let's just say hypothetically, they get out and they're 10-3 to start the year. Yeah. Imagine the buzz that's going to create. Like we have now this other dominant player, an MVP caliber player with a lot of help next to him. And they get out of the gate quickly in a year in which a couple of the top teams are down and trying to recover from injuries. It would create a hell of a buzz. Now, even having said that, Adam, they could be 36-5 at the midway point, and we'd all be waiting for Embiid to get hurt. So
yeah, you'll always think about that.
Unfortunately for him, that's what it is, man. Like, and look, he's not going to play 75 games, even if he's fully healthy and doesn't have even if he doesn't get even a hangnail this year, he's not playing probably more than 65 games. That would be the absolute max. It might be actually closer to 60. If he's in the 40s again, we're right back where we were. So who knows? Ultimately, just when you have a force like that, that's just sitting there and he's coming into the season and he says he feels great, looks great, healthy, you have to have one eye looking over that direction because you're really curious to see what this is going to look like for them.
Is there anything you would change about his game to try to keep him healthy? If you were him, would you change your approach at all in the regular season from a style standpoint?
Well, I mean, the biggest piece of advice I would give him is very simple. Like, just like the advice I would have for my quarterback of my favorite NFL team. Stop getting hit. Please stop getting tackled. You're getting tackled too much. For Embiid, dude, stay on your feet.
Yeah.
Stay on your feet. The guy's on the ground 7 times a game. Get up. You're 7'1", 265, man. You can't take all of these falls. So whatever it takes, stay upright, and you'll
Yeah.
have a better chance to endure the season.
This felt like more advice for your quarterback, I feel. I feel like
Yeah, it
I feel
did.
like
And look,
I really
and
drew something out of you there.
yeah, you did. And to his credit, we had a great day Sunday. I don't know if you were paying attention. We had a big win. Beat the Chargers
Missed
on
it.
the road, 27-10. All
Hey,
right. And
hey.
he didn't get hit too many times. Missed 2 games with that sprained knee, came back, had a brace, and adapted, and thank goodness finished the game healthy.
Yeah, sound advice from Tim Legler there. That's your list for the East. I'm going to throw out 2 guys real quick that were on my list for the East. First one is Trae Young. We've talked a little bit about him in the previous episode, but to me, it's just you have a team. You have a real team around you. I really like the roster they have. I love the guards that they've given him to cover for some of his defensive weaknesses. To me, this is a big Trae Young year because for all of the talent, he's still the engine. And Trae Young's been good. He's a good player. A winning player has really happened one time for him. And this is what I kind of, this year to me, is as good of an opportunity as he's going to get in Atlanta to create a winning team. So I think he's the most interesting one and one of the more important ones because I expect a superstar season from him. Not just in the stuff that he can do, but winning basketball. That's what I expect from Trae Young this year. And I think we're going to get it. I'm higher on Atlanta than you are, I think.
Yeah, and look, I was thinking about them, but and honestly, I almost took someone from Atlanta. It wasn't going to be Trae Young because I think I know exactly what Trae Young is. I know what he's
Yeah.
going to be. I know what he's going to do. I know what his numbers are going to look like. I know what Trae Young's capable of. It's going to have to be about somebody else on that team. I would have probably said Jalen Johnson.
Yeah.
Jalen Johnson, like that, they need a leap from him to thrust themselves into category teams I'm talking about. Because even Porzingis, yeah, that's gonna be nice and fun to watch that 2-man game. Is he gonna stay healthy? He has a hard time with that. So you have to doubt it. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, really nice player. He's not gonna have some huge injection into their team like that. Wow, we know who he is. Same thing with
Yeah.
Dyson Daniels. So for
Yeah.
me, I would have looked at their roster, Adam, and said,
Jalen
who on
Johnson.
this team can take a giant leap that's really going to change the way I look at them? And Jalen Johnson would have been who I picked off the Hawks.
I don't know if you saw the play. I mean, it's just preseason, but he did have a fast break against Amen Thompson last night, and he kind of lowered the shoulder in him, knocked him on the ground, and finished the ball. So I love Jalen Johnson, and you do forget just the size he has. He has incredible NBA body with the talent, the skill set. The last guy I would have added is Jaden Ivey. Don't have a ton of notes on him other than Cade Cunningham is so exciting that now you look around and say, okay, who's the running mate? He represents an opportunity to be that. He wasn't part of the full arc of the season for them last year, obviously going down halfway through. But he, to me, represents another guy that's really exciting and really interesting for that Detroit team. And I don't know what to expect.
I love that. And I was to be deciding between Cunningham and Ivy. And just with Cunningham being so young still and what I saw last year and thinking there's still a lot more there for him, I went with him. Jaden Ivey, people got to remember, this was, I think, their second leading scorer when he got hurt. So you're talking about a guy that's critical to this team. And by the way, plays defense, really good in the open floor with his speed, throwing the ball ahead to him and making plays. That's another element to their offense. So that's a good one. I like Ivy.
All right, we're going to take a break because that was our Eastern Conference, but the Western Conference features some players on new teams and some guys who have a lot of pressure, maybe some guys that lost weight over the offseason. We'll get to those guys on the other side. First, you know that moment, the one when you realized you left your favorite pair of sunglasses at the beach or on the roof of your car or at a gas station 3 states away. Well, I've been there too. But I found out that Shady Rays has changed the game. They've got sunglasses that are made for real life, seriously good looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. They have a wide selection of sunglasses. Really, every type of sunglass you want, they're going to have it on there. Hundreds and hundreds to pick from. And here's the wild part. If you lose or if you break them, even on day one, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. I wonder what people think when I do this read. They got to be thinking there's some kind of hook or catch to it. I'm telling you, there is not. They have this guarantee that if you lose or break them, they'll send you a replacement pair. So now I actually wear my sunglasses without fear on hikes, at concerts, on the boat, wherever. What I actually do is I have one in my backpack. I have one in my car. I have one in my house. I have one here in my office. I just keep a bunch of different places so that I never have to take them. That way I never lose them. But if I do, I know that I can get the replacement pair. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com and use the code AC35 for 35% off of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Also want to tell you guys about FanDuel. It's the best place to find all of your favorite player props. And now you can make the smarter play with new performance trends. Want to see if a guy's been hitting that over consistently or maybe been flirting with a potential triple-double? Get the latest stats right inside the app and see who's heating up. And once the game starts, that's when things get interesting. You can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. If you don't already have FanDuel, it's not too late to get in on the action. You can get started with $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/AllNBA to join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or older and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right, back here, segment 2 of the All-NBA show with me and Tim Legler. Make sure you hit that like button. We're doing this several times a week. You're not going to want to miss all of our conversations here as we go throughout the NBA season. Now we go to the Western Conference. By the way, I see some people in the chat right now giving us their list. I love that. If you're watching in the chat, let us know who you think are the most interesting players in the West. You can also let us know in the comments below, East and West. Always like hearing feedback from the audience. First guy is a guy we both had on our list, Legs, and that is my guy, Amen Thompson. Okay, I can't claim him. He was too good. I can't claim Amen Thompson. But I'm with you. I actually had 3 Rockets players that I wanted to put, and I didn't want to take any of them off, but Amen Thompson to me is as good of a pick as you can have. Why did you have him on the list?
Well, somebody from the Rockets was going to make it. I could have easily gone with KD, and I almost did. But again, I kind of feel like I know what that's going to look like.
Yeah,
Kevin Durant's going to, he's probably going to average 25 points a game. He's going to shoot over 50% from the field. He's going to be scoring against anybody that's in front of him. I know what that looks like. He's going to, have the ball in late games. I know what that looks like. I kind of feel like I know what Şengün looks like.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that one.
I kind of do.
We disagree.
Well,
Okay.
that could be another show because I want to get into that with you a little bit. And not, people don't take it the wrong way. I'm not down on Şengün. We had a lot of really good stuff to say about him when we were watching Eurobasket, the shows that we did. I love Şengün, but in terms of what looks significantly different or better or more impactful from a year ago, Amen Thompson's the guy you go with. Because what I saw at the end of the year, his growth as an impactful offensive player, because already, he's arguably as good a defender as anybody in this league on the perimeter. Already. That's there. That's not going to change. But the offense, can he shoot the ball for the foul line? Can he make a mid-range shot? Can he make an occasional 3? Those are all really important things because if not, there's always going to just be a limitation. And it's also going to affect the way that he's guarded, how he crowds the lane, how you can lay off of him, and it makes it harder for other people. So I saw growth in him toward the end of the year. And so there's no telling how good Amen Thompson could be. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean some huge jump in numbers because you just added Kevin Durant. All right. So that's going to cannibalize some of the additional opportunities there for you. But if Amen Thompson just looks more natural and comfortable shooting the basketball and taking shots that are there, if he's worked on that this offseason and it's obvious early in the year to go with that defense. And also, by the way, without Fred VanVleet, he's going to have the ball a lot in the open floor. He's going to be getting balls outletted to him where he's the guy with his surge and his up floor speed. He'll be handling the ball more in the half court off ball screen offense, trying to create. I can't wait to see what that looks like offensively from Amen Thompson. And that's why the anticipation of not knowing made me choose him, because I feel like a little bit more certain about Şengün and Durant.
I think he's the guy that is almost certain to be one of the most important players, and some of these other guys might end up just not becoming that. So I understand it, and I'm with you. I mean, to me, it's about they need ball handling, they need initiation, and is he the guy that's going to assume that role? That's why I think he's such an interesting guy. He can do a lot of different things, and the role that I thought he was going to play this year might have shifted with that Fred VanVleet injury. I'm going to give you two other names. First of all, I'm going to wait till Şengün has like a triple-double or 40-point game, and then that's the day we're going to talk about him. I'm going to say, Legs, you say you didn't like this guy. He just had 40
Unbelievable.
points.
Yeah, you will too. You will too.
We're not talking about him after some dud. I'm waiting for a big game. But the other two guys I want to talk about, Jabari Smith and Reid Sheppard. Jabari, I think, has a harder time breaking out because there's so much talent there that his role might be a little bit more narrow in just what they're asking him to do. But he's a guy that I just think has a lot more potential than what he has tapped into to this point in his season. But Reid Sheppard, to me, let me just ask it this way. Without a trade, can the Rockets be dangerous if Reid Sheppard is just a non-factor? If he's not any part of their season, he plays a little bit, but he's just whatever. He's kind of a whatever guy. Can they still find success? Because I'm not sure they can, given that Fred VanVleet is out.
I absolutely think they can regardless. Yes. I mean, I adamantly think that way. Because
with no point guard.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't even know what Reid Sheppard's going to be this year. I know that they're very high on him still, even though he wasn't really part of the rotation last year. Even went to the G League for a quick minute. He went down there and dropped like 40 plus, and they were like, okay, he's too good for the G League. Come on back up here. But despite that, a guy picked that high that wasn't really in the rotation, they never got down on him. It told me a lot when I talked to Ime Udoka, like later in the year. We did a game like in March, and at that point, Reid Sheppard wasn't really a factor for them. And so sometimes, a guy picked that high, you feel a narrative change. Like, oh man, maybe this guy's a bust or like whatever. No one feels that way about Reid Sheppard. So that told me a lot about him, first of all. Obviously, without VanVleet, he's going to get an opportunity early in the year. I don't know if Reid Sheppard's ready yet. I like him a lot as a player. I think it will happen for him at the NBA level. I don't know if it's going to happen this year for a team that's trying to win a title this year, because they just added Kevin Durant. Like the time frame with some of these younger guys, and like, hey man, we're all going to grow together. That went out the door the day you signed Kevin Durant. Now it's let's win this year. Let's close the gap with OKC, and let's be the last team standing against them and take our shots against them. Can they still be that team if Reid Sheppard has a similar year to last year? I feel like that's what you're asking.
Yeah. And it's not even about the playoffs, because I could agree with you at the playoffs. Like, okay, you're getting to your core guys, but how do they get through the regular season without a point guard? Just night to night without a guy that can kind of handle and initiate. And I know he's kind of a scoring guard, but still he's going to be in that role. And I just think the regular season is tough enough that if you add, now we need somebody else to do all the ball handling duties and bring the ball up the court and do all this stuff, that just adds an extra tax onto your team for 6 months before the playoffs can begin.
And let me just say one thing, Adam, if we are 20 games into the season and Reid Sheppard is struggling, or Reid Sheppard is someone that they've kind of 20 games, a pretty good sample size, quarter of the season. And now they're at that point, and let's say they're still winning. They're 12-8, like they're still winning games, and they're looking at him and they're going, I don't think it's going to happen this year. I guarantee you they are going to make a move to get a point guard. Yeah. Like they're not going to just say, okay, that's good enough.
That's what I predict happens, by the way.
So you think that's going to happen? He's gonna not be up to the task, and they're gonna go find one. I think you're right. Now look, if he comes out of the gate, they're giving him minutes every night, and he's playing great, getting confidence, shooting the ball really well. They might just stand pat and be like, hey, we're good enough. Like, we got other guys that are going to handle the ball a lot. And now he's taking a big step forward. We're good, and roll the dice with that. But if it's not, they're going to go make a move for somebody and bring somebody in anyway. So my point being, you're talking about the playoffs. And if Reid Sheppard's not that guy for a playoff run, I got news for you. If that's the case, they will have made a move by then, and they will have somebody in there that they think can be a
Yeah.
serviceable point guard in playoff basketball.
Well, just for one, I appreciate what Ime has told you. I appreciate whatever people are hearing behind the scenes. I'm going to trust more the fact that he just didn't play last year. To me, that speaks louder than any accolades or any support that can be thrown to him. Let's go to the next guy, which is Cam Johnson on my Denver Nuggets. One of the most important players, 18.8 points per game last year with the Brooklyn Nets. Now he joins the Denver Nuggets into a role that's more familiar with him as like the fourth or fifth option. Why did he make your list?
Just because, again, the pieces that are already in place in Denver, I know exactly what that looks like. It wasn't good enough a year ago, even though they played the Thunder to a 7-game series. We know the Thunder were the gold standard last year. They will be again going into the season this year. So how do you close the gap? Where did you shrink the margins? That could be an area. Look, Michael Porter Jr. was a guy that was capable in any given night of having similar nights to Cam Johnson's best nights, but they were kind of all over the place a little bit, right? More inconsistent. And certainly the defense is going to be better with Cam Johnson. And I think Cam Johnson is going to get better shots than he's ever had in his career.
Yeah.
And so now I want to see what this guy's capable of playing with Jokic. When he's getting cleaner looks, there's no telling what kind of year Cam Johnson's about to have. So for me, how do you shrink the deficit with OKC? Where can you do that? They went out and they added depth. Important. Valanciunas, Bruce Brown, like they got deeper. That's important. I think Christian Brown is going to, take another step forward this year. That's great. Cam Johnson to me could be like that, where we're just every night going, my goodness, I cannot believe they ended up getting this guy. Like that's how good he has been for the Denver Nuggets. If that happens, they have shrunk the gap with OKC. And that's why I said all along, Denver has reloaded and they've rebooted, man. They're back in the mix as a title contender.
I think the thing that stood out to me about Cam Johnson through basically he's played 4 quarters now of preseason, with this new group. What stands out to me is the playmaking. And it's not like he's give him the ball, he's let him go off. But just Denver plays that ball is popping style where everybody touches it, the ball swings, and you have to be able to shoot, which he obviously can do, or attack closeouts to build the advantage, to increase the advantage. And he's just been so good at that. He's a really good cutter. He does everything. All of his cuts, he does at full speed. So he's not just going through the motions, put a hand up and then just jog through. Everything he does at full speed. So the defense has to follow him at full speed. And then when he catches to attack a closeout, he's able to put 1-2 dribbles on the ground, find the open guy, dribble, pick and roll, turn around the corner and make tough passes, not just like basic reads, but skip passes to the opposite corner. And I think Aaron Gordon can do that. Jamal Murray can do that. Obviously, Jokic can do that. Christian Brown is showing an improved ability to do that. When you have 5 guys that can all read the court at a high tempo, it just makes it so impossible to guard. And that, to me, is what gets me excited about Cam Johnson on Denver.
Yeah, man. It's one of the main guys that I'm going to be looking at at the start of the year. Like when I get a Denver game, like I can't wait to see it live, especially because, like I said, it might not even be. It's not going to be anything crazy in terms of improved production over Michael Porter Jr. That's it, the numbers are going to be similar. I guarantee it. It's not that. It's the effect. It's the effect on the game. It's the way that you have to account for him. It's going to be different than Michael Porter Jr., in my opinion. And I think as a result, their offense is going to flow better.
Yeah, I think so too. Next guy you have, De'Aaron Fox, San Antonio. He's on my list as well. I think this is a big-time guy this season.
They had him for a short period of time. They got him later in the year, and then he had an injury. And look, by the way, this could all be – he could have an incredible year. Like right out of the gate, De'Aaron Fox is putting up numbers, playing great. And because Wemby is so good the same night, we might be like, well, what were we talking about? It's obviously all about Victor Wembanyama because if Wembanyama's healthy, like there's no telling what that could look like with his improvement, right? So, but here's why I think Fox. I just think because of the importance of the position as the guy that's going to be the motor for their team, the primary decision maker, and a guy that's an all-star caliber offensive talent in this league, and now with a full offseason going into San Antonio, a full offseason and training camp to work with Wembanyama, to develop chemistry with him and some of the other young guys that they have. You look, Dylan Harper's there, like his ability to help Dylan Harper grow quickly as a rookie. Stephon Castle, the reigning rookie of the year, another guard that they have there, and De'Aaron Fox's impact on them having been there from the beginning of the season. I think that's going to be a big storyline. That's why San Antonio's a really interesting team to me. I think some people are higher on them than I am. I mean, to just rattle off 45 to 48 wins, that might be hard in the Western Conference from where they finished a year ago. Let's see though.
It doesn't sound like he gets to build chemistry because he has this hamstring issue that might keep him out. It sounds like for all of camp and all of the preseason. So that part's one piece that he might miss. But I'll tell you what, it's so hard in preseason legs because I want to get excited and I want to buy into these things. But I take everything with not even a grain of salt, an entire shaker of salt, because Wembanyama looks meaningfully stronger in the clips that I have seen of him. That's one of the big knocks on him, but he's knocking guys. He's just physical. He's doing everything at full speed. There are times where I feel like in seasons past where he's been a little hesitant, what he does with the ball, or a little turn his back, turn his hip to the side. He's attacking downhill. And, Wemby's such a high upside player. It does feel like strength, if he really could add some functional strength to his body this offseason, I just think it'll be the biggest storyline in the NBA, because that's a weakness I just thought would always be there a little bit. And it looks mitigated, at least from what I've seen of him so far.
Well, real quick point on that. Here's the thing. I agree with what you just said about how he looks, but here's the thing. What I need to see is a guy that at the end of the day just doesn't go, well, I'm 7'5" and I can shoot over you whenever I want. And I end up taking these shots that are not necessarily the highest percentage shots. So it's more than just, is he functionally stronger? Yeah. Now, how does he apply that to his game to be a more impactful offensive player, to really be able to collapse and break down a defense and get better shots for yourself and your teammates, rather than just knowing at any time I can rise up and nobody can deal with my length, because those shots aren't always high percentage shots. And I want him to be much more efficient this year.
Yeah. If you were 7'5", would you ever go into the paint with your jumper? Would you, or would you just, you're like, what? I'm open again. What do you know?
No, to answer your question, no, but listen, that's why I got paid. So no, if I was 7'5", no, I would break into a rash if I got near the lane if I was 7'5".
Next guy you have on your list, Luka Dončić. Obviously, we know the story with him, man. I mean, he does look skinny. He does look good. Weird year for him, though, I think, with the LeBron, a bit of a LeBron distraction, I guess. I know it's probably won't be as we get into the season, but why is he on your list? What is it about him?
Well, first of all, let's have some fun with the ESPN list, because it was kind of funny to me, because they're like, listen, this is a list, impactful guys to look at, but we're not going to talk about the top guys. We're not those stars on this list. And then they start off with Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and LeBron James. So, I don't know. So that's why I felt like, you know what, man, I'll forget that. I'm putting Luke in here. It's very simple. It's all of the talk, all of the chatter. I was hoping to see it firsthand on Sunday. He didn't play. But I asked JJ about it before the game. How does that look to you? Like this super fit Luka, like how is that manifesting itself every day? And he proceeded to talk about that a little bit, and he is seeing it every day. I want to see it when the season starts. This should be one of the most highly motivated players in the NBA, despite what he's already accomplished. Bunch of first team all league accolades, the numbers he's put up, 31 points a game for his career in the playoffs, third highest average regular season scoring average in NBA history. He's done all that stuff. It's now about, man, do this for the entire season plus the playoffs, and every night be out there kicking ass and taking names without some of the other stuff that is a distraction. Your defensive lack of commitment, because maybe you're not in good enough shape, or you just don't care enough, or the stuff with the officials, or just a lack of leadership at times. And JJ said, this is the biggest area of growth for Luka. It's going to be accountability and leadership, accountability for himself on a daily basis, and being better defensively. And he said Luka has been better defensively in camp than anything we saw last year in the Lakers uniform. So I'm curious to see what that looks like. If this guy's as motivated as he should be with what just happened, and the guy got traded, if that's not a cold bucket of water dumped on you, I don't know what could be at his age.
Yeah.
That's got to be an eye-opening thing. My goodness, man, I thought I was untouchable, and this team didn't want me anymore. That
Yeah.
should be the highest motivator you could ever get as a player with a guy of his talent. Now translate it to the court, and I want to see it from jump. Go have the best year of your career and try to be the MVP in this league.
When do they play? They don't have a game on the schedule for a while because I'm curious to see, as early preseason games, nobody really plays. It looks like they don't play again until, is it Sunday? Yeah. Well, what do you know? Lakers Warriors again on Sunday, this upcoming Sunday. So I'm excited to see it even in preseason because he does look good physically. He just looks good. And I am curious to see, the approach and everything else. It plays the Warriors, and that means the last guy on your list, Steph Curry, he made it. This one, to me, I don't know how to feel about the Warriors. You saw them. Maybe this is our chance to talk about what you saw from the Golden State Warriors, including Steph, when you were calling the game over the weekend.
All right, here's my hottest take.
Oh,
Hottest
my.
take so far. Golden State Warriors are in the mix. Like, look, everything's relative in the West to
Sure.
me, comparing you to Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
So everything I say, I'm not going to have to keep repeating myself about Oklahoma City clearly is the gold standard, and they
Yeah.
continue to be. The question is, who can be the last team standing against them and have a realistic chance in a series? I think Golden State is in the mix in the West to be that team. There's 4 or 5 teams I'm going to make that argument about, and all I'm saying is Golden State's not on the outside of that circle. I think they're absolutely and here's why. Curry, zero discernible drop off in this guy. He's just as good today as he was 5 years ago. So Steph Curry is the same. You've now got a whole season with Jimmy Butler. And you know what's crazy, Adam? Sometimes I sit there and think, man, we go so overboard on the Jimmy Butler thing. Like, because the numbers don't jump out at you every night. There is no way you can get around the numbers and the difference he made to their team when he joined their team. They were middle of the pack defensive rated team. He gets there. The rest of the year, they're the number 1 defensive rated team in the NBA. They go from 27th in the league in free throw attempts as a team.
The
The rest of the year, they were 3rd in the NBA.
It's a big deal.
They go from last in the league in free throw percentage as a team, which is crazy with a team with Steph Curry on it. They're last in the league the day he gets there in percentage from the line, 4th the rest of the season. So you can't, there's no other way to look at it. The guy absolutely, and the record, by the way, 22-5 when him and Curry played.
Man.
22-5. Okay,
Yeah.
so there's no
Can it
other way to
last?
look
We'll
at it,
see.
man. The guy has a massive impact, and they get Al Horford, who is a great fit. And I saw some of that on Sunday, even though he didn't really have a big scoring game. His defense, his presence, his dribble handoff game, his decision making at the top of the key. It's going to be his screening. He is a dream pickup for the Golden State, and Kerr was raving about him before the game. They re-signed Kuminga. We'll see what happens with that situation. He might be traded by the time they get to the meaningful part of the season. I look at DeAnthony Melton, by the way, is going to be a big factor for them. So, who was hurt last year, played 6 games. I just look at them and I go, you know what, man? They're still in the mix in the West. They're more relevant than they were a year ago. And that's why if Steph Curry stays healthy, they will be that. If he doesn't, then probably a lot of this goes out the window.
They're so thin. It's not even just him. I think there's a handful of guys that you look at and say that's pretty hard to replace if they even just miss some time. And that's why I'm a little more skeptical. But to your point, just get in. And if they're a healthy team come April, I don't think anybody's going to want to see them. And we'll just have to wait and see how it gets there and how everything else plays out. I'm going to real quick because we're up against the time clock here. But the one guy that you didn't have on your list that I want to talk about, well, of course you didn't have him on. He's more of a role player. But I'm very intrigued with Terrence Shannon Jr. because I look at the Timberwolves and I say, I think we know what we get. I mean, Anthony Edwards, by all accounts, had a great offseason, really wit in the lab, and they're excited about what they're seeing out of him out of camp so far. But Terrence Shannon Jr. is such a quick guy with the ball in his hands. And they are an athletic team. Minnesota might be as athletic as Oklahoma City just in terms of speed, and they even add the power element. Terrence Shannon Jr. to me represents another layer of that. And I don't know how impactful he'll be overall for them. But I look at him and say the skill set of a powerful, quick, ball-handling guard just makes them that much more impossible to guard. And if he makes a leap this year, I think he makes changes the trajectory of that Timberwolves team and bumps them up another tier to that top tier because I find him to be that compelling of a prospect.
First of all, I see what you did, and I'm not happy about it because you grabbed the guy he's my guy. James knows this.
Wait. You haven't claimed this guy yet.
I claimed him last year.
James, do we have to take to this? I don't remember this. I was getting ready my big board for next week.
You can't even do that. And I claimed him again in Vegas when I saw him in Vegas. This guy loved Terrence Shannon Jr. Now, I didn't put him on the list because here's why. I mean, look, he's going to get a big opportunity this year because Nickeil Alexander-Walker is gone. Those minutes are going to him. The guy can flat out score in short bursts. He doesn't need a lot of time. He's so aggressive and so confident offensively, plays really hard defensively. I just don't know exactly how much that's going to impact their winning. That's what I need to see. But I see what you're doing. You're trying to set the stage to claim him, and you can't claim him because I already have him. So just lay your hands off Terrence Shannon Jr. I'm telling you right now, just hands off, back up.
I can't believe this. I'm gonna have to have James scour the tape to make sure because I thought he was available. I thought it might have been on my big board for next week's My Guy show, but I already got my board.
Hey, look at Jay Money. Jay Money, he did claim him.
Jay Money is not the authority on this, man. He's just trying to earn some brownie points.
Listen, Jay Money right now. Again, here we go. Brandon saying the same thing. What do you think? These people listen every day. Every day. These are family to us. These are family. You trust your family. By the way, before we get off the air, I got to say, there was one guy I almost put on. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to do it because it's just going to overhype it. The guy that I almost put on this list is Cooper Flagg.
I love it. Let's go.
Because here's why. I've already said, I'm on record. We went over this last week. I already said, I think Dallas is better than a 500 team. The over-under says 541 wins or whatever it is. I said they're better than that. If Cooper Flagg is just, and this happens with rookies sometimes, he's just there quickly. Like this dude belongs. He's doing his thing. Even, I know it's from preseason, but last night, 14 minutes, 10 points, 6 assists, 10.6 boards, 3 assists in 14 minutes. And his impact defensively, playing with AD and Lively, what that could mean defensively to this team. D'Angelo Russell, assuming he plays well while Kyrie's out. If Cooper Flagg just is one of those dudes historically that from jump is just ready every night to start having an impact on all over the place, that he could be one of these guys too. When they get Kyrie back late in the year and he looks good, and Cooper Flagg by that point is like doing things every night, watch out for the Mavericks in terms of just being an interesting team in the mix going into the playoffs. So I almost did, but I thought, you know what? I'm not gonna do that yet. But everybody remember that I said that if this dude gets out of the gate first 10 games and he looks unbelievable.
You're going to try to claim Cooper Flagg as my guy, number 1 pick, one of the most hyped prospects. I can see it already.
No, I'm not claiming him as my guy. I would never. You're the only one that claims household names like that. Like, it's ridiculous, the stuff you do, what you try to pull off all the time. Oh, Alperen Şengün, that's my guy. Yeah,
they were
guy. Great.
I got him before they were hyped, man. James, we got one super chat. Let's check it out. David Myers, he says, question for Tim. Did you overlap with Michael Young at Limoges? I saw him play a few times for the Phi Slamma Jamma Houston Cougars.
I did not overlap with Michael Young, but I did overlap with a guy named Michael Brooks, who do your research on this. Look up Michael Brooks, the late, great Michael Brooks, sadly passed away well before his time. Michael Brooks is a former player of the year at LaSalle University, where I went. He was 8 years ahead of me. The 1980 player of the year nationally was Michael Brooks. He was drafted like top 10 in the draft, maybe like 6th or 7th by the Clippers. Had a very good start to his career, had a devastating knee injury, shut it down. Nobody knew where he went. I go play in Limoges in the early 90s. Guess who's playing in Limoges? Michael Brooks, former LaSalle guy, was my teammate over there. So I did not get Michael Young, but I got Michael Brooks, who was one of the great college players really ever. And unfortunately passed away a few years ago. But Michael Young, I'm very familiar with who he is and what he did at Houston, but he and I did not play together there.
Oh, there you go. All right, cue that outro music there, James. We appreciate everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, man. I'm certainly enjoying it. You can feel the season getting closer. We got to suffer through 2 more weeks of preseason, though, but I can feel it. It's right around the corner. We hope you take that journey with us, guys, by subscribing, hit that like button for us, and be part of the show every time we go live. We'll be back on Wednesday. We'll see you guys then.
All silly like the mayor.